My name is Benny Butler. I'm 28 years old, and there are exactly 3 things I've known about myself with absolute certainty since I was old enough to understand my own life. I like building things with my hands. I'll eat almost anything if it's covered in hot sauce. And I do not want children. That last one was never casual. It was never maybe someday. Never when I meet the right man. Never one day you'll change your mind. I made that decision in my early 20s after watching my older sister's life collapse under a choice she never got to make slowly or freely. My sister Danielle became a mother at 21 with a man she barely knew. She loves her kids more than anything now. She is a good mother. The kind who remembers dentist appointments, braids hair before school, and works herself raw to keep groceries in the fridge. But I watched her change. I watched the girl who used to paint old furniture in our garage and talk about opening a studio become someone who looked 10 years older by 25. One night, I sat with her on the back steps while her babies cried inside. She stared at the dark yard and said, "Benny, I love them. I do. But if you don't want this, don't let anyone rush you. Not a boyfriend, not mom, not shame, nobody." I never forgot that. So, I was honest in every relationship. Not brutally, not like I was trying to scare anyone off. But when the subject came up, and it always did, I said the same thing. I don't want kids. That isn't flexible. If that's a deal breaker, I respect it, but we should know now. Then, I met Adrian Mercer. We met at a friend's barbecue. He was charming in that easy way some men are. Like the world had always opened doors for him and he'd learned to smile while walking through them. He worked in medical equipment sales. I was an electrician for a commercial contractor. I made good money, kept my apartment clean, liked my quiet evenings, and liked not answering to anyone after 10-hour days on a job site. On our second date, I told Adrian the truth. "I don't want children," I said, waiting for the usual shift in expression. But he just lifted his glass and smiled. "Honestly, I'm not thinking about kids either. I like my freedom." That was enough for me then. For a year and a half it worked. We didn't live together. He had his condo. I had my apartment. He liked parties and crowded rooms. I liked my couch, my tools, and food spicy enough to make my eyes water. We were different, but I thought we respected each other's edges. I was wrong. About 2 months ago, Adrian invited me over for dinner on a Friday night. The moment I stepped inside his condo, I knew something was staged. Candles on the table, wine already poured, his soft playlist humming through the speakers. Adrian wasn't subtle. He thought he was, which somehow made it worse. We ate chicken Alfredo. He talked about work. I told him about a rough wiring inspection on the second floor of a commercial build. We laughed about normal things. Then he set his fork down and said, "I need to tell you something, and I need you not to freak out." My stomach tightened. "People only say that when there's a reason to freak out," I said. He gave a nervous laugh. "So, you know Olivia's gender reveal was last weekend." "Your sister, the baby girl." "Right. It was beautiful," my mom cried. Olivia cried. Everyone was asking when it would be our turn. I went still. "And?" I asked. He looked down at his plate, and I may have told them we were trying. For a second, I didn't understand the sentence, not because the words were complicated, but because my brain refused to connect them to my life. "Trying what?" I asked, though I already knew. "For a baby." I put my fork down carefully, not dramatically, carefully, because my hand suddenly felt dangerous. "We have never discussed trying for a baby." "I know," he said quickly. "I know, but everyone was asking, and Olivia was getting all the attention, and Mom kept joking that she was still waiting on me, and it just came out." "What exactly came out?" He swallowed. "I said we'd been talking about it, and maybe after New Year's we'd start trying." I stared at him across the candlelight. "After New Year's," I repeated. "You gave your family a timeline for my body." His face tightened. "When you say it like that, it sounds bad. It sounds bad because it is bad." "Benny," I panicked. "No, panicking is saying something awkward. You created a future I never agreed to." He leaned forward, voice softening like softness could hide the manipulation. I'm not saying we have to do it tomorrow. I'm just saying maybe this is the push we need to finally talk about it. The push we need? I said. Like parenthood is a gym class we're nervous to sign up for? He flinched. I thought maybe you'd changed, he said. And there it was. Not a misunderstanding. A waiting game. He had heard me clearly. He just hadn't believed me. I pushed my chair back. The legs scraped against the floor, loud in the quiet room. I'm going to say this once, I said. I do not want children. I told you that on our second date. I never hinted otherwise. You told your family we were trying without asking me because you didn't want to look embarrassed at a party. His eyes filled. So what are you saying? I'm saying we're done. His face changed like I'd slapped him. Over one comment? Over a comment that proved you would rather pressure me into a life I don't want than admit we're incompatible. He stood up fast. You're making me sound like some monster. No, I said quietly. You did that yourself. I left while he was still crying, and I won't pretend it didn't hurt. It did. Loving someone doesn't turn off just because trust breaks. But as I drove home, one thought kept repeating in my head. If I stayed, next time it might not be a lie. It might be a pregnancy test. I sat in my truck outside my apartment for 20 minutes before calling Danielle. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. Then she said, Benny, protect yourself. What do you mean? I mean, if you're sure, make sure nobody can gamble with your future. I thought about it all weekend. Monday morning, I called a doctor. By Thursday, I had a consultation scheduled. And for the first time since Adrian opened his mouth over that candlelit dinner, I felt my life come back into my own hands. The breakup should have ended everything. That's what I believed anyway. Two adults realize they want different futures. They separate. It hurts for a while. Then eventually the ache fades into background noise, and everybody moves on. That would have required honesty. And Adrian had already proven honesty wasn't his strongest skill. About 10 days after I ended things, I got a text from a number I recognized immediately. His sister Olivia. Mom told me you and Adrian are trying for a baby. I'm so excited. Imagine baby cousins growing up together. I stared at the screen for a full minute. Then I screenshotted it and sent it to Danielle without context. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. Danielle. Oh, this man is insane. That was the moment I realized Adrian hadn't told his family we'd broken up. Not only that, he was letting the lie grow roots. His pregnant sister was out here imagining synchronized pregnancies while I was sitting on frozen peas recovering from the consultation that would make motherhood physically impossible for me. I didn't answer Olivia's text. It wasn't my place to explain her brother's lies to his family. That responsibility belonged to him. 3 days later, Adrian called. I almost ignored it. But some part of me wanted closure. Or maybe I just wanted confirmation that he understood what he'd destroyed. Hey, I answered flatly. His voice came softer than usual. Careful. Practiced. Hey, I was wondering if maybe we could talk in person. About what? About us. There is no us. He exhaled hard into the phone. Benny, people say stupid things when they're emotional. You weren't emotional. You were strategic. That's unfair. No, unfair is volunteering my uterus to your family because you couldn't handle feeling left out at a gender reveal. Silence. Then he said quietly, I think you're throwing away 1.5 years over one mistake. I laughed once under my breath. It wasn't one mistake. It was a preview. What's that supposed to mean? It means you already decided my boundaries were temporary. His tone sharpened immediately. That's not true. Then why did you think public pressure would change my mind? I thought maybe you loved me enough to reconsider. There it was again. Love as leverage. I closed my eyes. Adrian, love is not agreeing to become someone else, so another person stays comfortable. He went quiet for a few seconds, then softer now, almost pleading, I haven't told my family yet. I know. My sister texted you, didn't she? About baby cousins. Another silence. If I tell them now, he whispered, they're gonna think I'm crazy. That sounds like your problem. Can you at least not say anything until I figure this out? I'm not contacting your family, but if somebody asks me directly, I'm not lying for you. He hung up without saying goodbye. At that point, I still believed the situation would collapse naturally. I figured eventually he'd tell the truth. Maybe there'd be embarrassment. Maybe some awkward family dinners. Then everyone would move on. Instead, Adrian made it worse. Much worse. About a week later, one of my friends from weekend basketball texted me. Yo, heard you and Adrian split. He's telling people you changed your mind about having kids after leading him on. I stared at that message while standing in the electrical aisle at Home Depot. My first reaction wasn't anger. It was exhaustion, because suddenly I understood the new story Adrian had created. In his version, we had both been excited to start a family. We had plans. We had timelines. Then I suddenly panicked, became cold, and abandoned him out of nowhere. He made himself the devastated boyfriend. And me? The selfish woman terrified of commitment. I called my friend immediately and explained everything from the beginning. He listened quietly before finally saying, Benny, that is actually insane. I know. You gonna tell the truth? I leaned against the shelf and looked up at the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. No, I said finally. Why not? Because lies like Adrian's always need maintenance. More details. More manipulation. More performances. And every new lie creates another crack waiting to split open. I didn't need revenge. I just needed patience. Unfortunately, patience became harder once his mother entered the situation. She called me on a Tuesday evening while I was making tacos. I answered because I didn't recognize the number. Benny, she said immediately, sharp and emotional. I need you to explain why you would promise my son a family and then walk away. I actually closed my eyes. Mrs. Mercer, I never promised anyone a family. That's not what Adrian told us. Then Adrian lied to you. Instant silence. Not shocked silence. Offended silence. My son does not lie. I looked down at the ground turkey sizzling in the pan. Then ask yourself why he announced we were trying for a baby before ever discussing it with me. He said you changed your mind. There was no mind to change. I've been openly child-free since before I met him. You're scared, she snapped suddenly. Women your age panic about motherhood all the time. I almost laughed at the irony of being accused of panicking by the people trying to pressure me into pregnancy. I'm not panicking, I said calmly. I'm maintaining the same boundary I've had for 6 years. He's heartbroken. I stared at the stove. I'm eating tacos alone on a Tuesday night, Mrs. Mercer. I'm not exactly throwing confetti over here either. That actually quieted her for a second. Then she lowered her voice. You know, relationships require compromise. Children are not compromise, I said softly. They are permanent. She hung up on me after that. I finished cooking. Ground turkey, pickled onions, habanero crema I'd been perfecting for weeks. There's something deeply insulting about emotional devastation happening while tacos still taste incredible. But 4 days later, everything shifted. Apparently Adrian had already downloaded Hinge, and apparently he wasn't subtle there either. My basketball friend called me laughing so hard he could barely breathe. You are not gonna believe this. What? His profile says looking for someone ready to start a family. I went completely still. So while he's telling everyone I abandoned him over babies, my friend continued, he's already shopping for another woman to have one with. And just like that, I felt the first crack form in Adrian's story. Not because I exposed him, because he exposed himself. The final collapse came from the one person Adrian never expected to question him, his sister Olivia. About a week after the dating profile surfaced, she called me directly. Her voice sounded exhausted in that specific way pregnant women sound when they're too tired for drama but trapped inside it anyway. Benny, she said quietly. I need you to answer honestly. Did you and Adrian ever actually agree to try for a baby? No, I said immediately. Not once. Silence. Then a slow exhale. I knew something wasn't adding up, she whispered, because he kept changing details every time Mom brought it up. I leaned back on my couch while my rescue dog slept across my feet. He told your family what he wanted to be true, I said, not what actually happened. Olivia hesitated before asking one more question. Did you really schedule surgery after the breakup? I knew instantly Adrian had told them, probably framed it like revenge. Yes, I answered calmly, but not to punish him. I've wanted it for years. The breakup just pushed me to finally do it. Another silence, then softly, honestly? Good for you. That conversation changed everything. Because Olivia went back to the family with the truth, and the truth didn't match Adrian's performance. Apparently, the next family dinner exploded. Olivia confronted him directly in front of their parents. Did Benny ever agree to try for a baby? Adrian tried to dodge. She implied she was open to it. That's not what she said. She's twisting things. And your dating profile? Olivia fired back. You're supposedly devastated, but you're already searching for someone who wants kids? Their mother tried interrupting, but Olivia was done protecting him. I've been telling people my brother and his girlfriend were planning a family, she snapped. Do you understand how humiliating this is? According to Danielle, who heard the story through mutual friends, Adrian's response was immediate victimhood. So everybody's against me now? Classic. When the lie collapses, blame the people standing too close to the wreckage. After that, things went quiet. No dramatic screaming match, no cinematic revenge, just consequences. His mother never contacted me again. His father sent one text, sorry for how things turned out. Take care of yourself. That was it. I blocked Adrian's number a week later. Not because I hated him, because every unknown call made my body tense. And I was tired of living like my nervous system belonged to somebody else. A month later, my procedure was complete. Officially permanent. The doctor asked if I had regrets. Not one, I said. And I meant it. Now, it's just me, my dog, my quiet apartment, and a life nobody else gets to narrate for me. Sometimes I still think about Adrian, not with anger anymore, mostly exhaustion, because the saddest part is that he had another option. He could have simply told the truth. I want children someday, and Benny doesn't. That sentence would have hurt, but it would have been honest. Instead, he tried to let public pressure force me into becoming someone else, and that's the thing people keep misunderstanding about love. Love is not convincing someone to surrender their future so you don't feel disappointed. That's control-wearing romantic clothing. I'm 28 years old, single, child-free by choice, and finally, at peace with the fact that my life belongs to me.